The reasons why it is impossible to nominate Rustam Emomali as a candidate for President of Tajikistan. The family has become a stable, corrupt entity that has long been a substitute for the state. The family has a clear hierarchical structure, distribution of roles and spheres of control in the economic and political life of the country. Emomali Rahman and his wife Aziza Sataloeva had 9 children: Firuza, Tamina, Ozoda, Rukshona, Parvina, Rustam, Zarina, Farzan and Soman. There is reliable information that Rustami Emomali is the son of Emomali's late brother Rahmanam Nuruddin Rahmanov. In Tajik families, after the successive birth of several daughters, a serious conflict usually arises between the husband and wife, since men, according to national and religious customs, necessarily want to have a son who continues the family. Therefore, it is said that after the birth of 5 daughters, Emomali Rahman and his wife came to a compromise on the adoption of their brother's son. Thus, Rustam, like a cuckoo's egg with all the destructive consequences and as an apple of discord in the future, found himself in someone else's nest. The elder brother of President Emomali Rahman, the late Nuruddin Sharifovich Rahmanov, according to the passport, Khairuddin Rahmanov and his wife decided in their youth to become a large family, to give birth to 11 children, so that his wife would become a mother heroine and have the opportunity to receive assistance from the state. The USSR collapsed and as a result, in his family, in addition to Rustam, whom he passed to his brother's family, 10 more children were born, 4 sons and 6 daughters. The compromise of Emomali Rahman with his wife Aziz Mo Asadulovna Sataloeva on the issue of adopting Rustam in their family laid a time bomb. Emomali Rahman's love affairs on the side, to which his wife turned a blind eye, also in the family gave her additional trumps and advantages in making important political and economic issues. The president's wife does not officially hold any positions, does not openly appear in any political or business affairs, but it is she who manages the interests of numerous relatives, the existence of which Rahman himself may not know. It organizes general meetings, coordinates the positions of the parties, and stands up for those whom it considers deprived. She protects the material and financial interests of her children, sons-in-law, brothers and nephews, but is particularly supportive of her brother Hassan Asadullazoda and Muhiulo Asadullazoda. Her leading role is the result of the support and influence of Hassan Asadullazade. Aziz Mak Sataloeva has a very significant weight in making state decisions, the distribution of key positions in the state apparatus. Those who are related to the Rahman family in one degree or another have positions in state structures, from the highest to the lowest. This is how the key positions are distributed according to the presence and degree of kinship to the family of Rahman. In this case, the key role is played by the degree of kinship in the female line. In the family, the president's wife actually plays the role of regulator and lover. If there are disagreements in the division of business or other issues between children and sons-in-law, it is Aziz Mak Sataloeva who collects information and opinions and brings them to Rahman, who then calls the conflicting parties to him and determines who and which section of the government or business is entitled to. The most famous cases of her intervention are the conflict between her brother Hassan Asadullazade and Rustam Emomali during the showdown, on May 2, 2008, during which Rustam shot his uncle 3 times and wounded him in the neck at a tangent. Then Hassan was urgently sent for treatment abroad, to Germany. Hassan Asadullazoda is one of the most influential figures in Tajikistan. More than $20 billion of Rahman's money in his foreign accounts is under the control of Hassan Asadullazoda, who is responsible for their security. Of the family members, only Makhmadzor Sohibov, the husband of the president's eldest daughter Firuza Rahmanova, an emotionally unstable man with a thuggish manner of communication, supports Rustam Emomali as a possible presidential candidate. Sohibov, in turn, openly disrespects Hassan Asadullazoda. Rustam Emomali Rahmanov was born on December 19, 1987 in the village of Dongara. Starting from the age of 18, from 2006 to 2009, he allegedly worked, but in fact was listed as a specialist in the staff of the Ministry of Economic Development of Tajikistan, while studying at the university and, of course, rarely appeared in the office. In 2008, he graduated from the Tajik National University in Dushanbe with a degree in World Economy and International Relations, although he did not appear at the faculty for months and sometimes years. From his youth, he led a rampant lifestyle. He abused alcohol and drugs. He often changed the environment and security. During his studies, Rustam regularly organized competitions in the game, Counter-Strike, as well as street races for very high stakes. Often his team lost a lot of money, sometimes up to $400,000. In 2007, he killed a man at a pedestrian crossing near the Russian embassy in Dushanbe. The case was not given a go, spreading a rumor that the famous singer Manisha Davlat was driving the car, thus permanently depriving her of the opportunity to perform on stage. In April 2009, Rustam Rakhmanov was hired as the acting head of the Department of Entrepreneurship and Support in the State Committee for Investment and State Property Management of the Republic of Tajikistan, and in June 2009, he was appointed head of this department. In these positions, he was formally listed and very rarely appeared at work, since he went to study in Moscow. In 2010–2011, he was a student at the Russian Academy of National Economy and Public Administration under the President of the Russian Federation in Moscow, majoring in state and municipal administration. Back then, his interests included drugs, casino games, and prostitutes. There was no time to study. Emomali Rahman in November 2011, according to a special protocol of the government, launched a narrow circle of state officials to clean up the political field from the opposition before the operation, air, i.e., preparing the nomination of Rustam Emomali as the first person of the state. From this moment, the lightning growth of his political career begins. In 2011, his father appointed Rustam Emomali as the head of the Department for Combating Customs Offences of the Customs Committee under the government of Tajikistan. After this appointment, the rate of bribes paid by businessmen for illegal transportation of goods increased fourfold. In 2012–2013, he worked as a deputy head of the Customs Service under the government of the Republic of Tajikistan. In 2013, his father appointed him head of the Customs Committee of Tajikistan. He worked in this position until 2015 and during this time managed to graduate from the Academy of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Tajikistan with a degree in law. During this period, he spent about $100 million from the budget. The case was hushed up, and his deputy Nuruddin Makhmadov, his secret supervisor, was suspended from work. In March 2015, his father appointed him director of the Agency for State Financial Control and Anti-Corruption of the Republic of Tajikistan. His predecessor and the father of his friend, Shokruk Saidov, Fatak Saidov, was appointed head of the Customs Committee to cover up his tracks. In June 2015, Emomali Rustam dismissed 56 employees deemed professionally unfit. Another 38 people were sent to them for an honorary pension. As the head of the anti-corruption department, he showed complete incompetence in management activities and soon began to run over large businesses, extorting bribes from them. Young employees of the agency from his entourage have become a real nightmare for many officials and businessmen. As a result, money and jewelry worth up to $150 million were found and seized in the homes of employees of the anti-corruption agency. 10 employees of the anti-corruption agency, including Deputy Rustam Emomali, Davlatali Kairov, son of the former chairman of the State Security Committee S. Kamolov, son-in-law of the former secretary of the Security Council Amirkul Azimov, were sentenced to long terms. Emomali Rahman ensured that the facts of pedophilia, pandering and polygamy of his subordinates were classified. Prior to the completion of Operation Air, his father appointed Rustam Emomali as the mayor of Dushanbe in April 2017. De facto, the existing censors on TV channels and radio began to strictly monitor that his voice did not get on the air, although footage of his participation in various meetings and events is constantly shown on television and the Internet. Quotes of Rustam Emomali in these frames are voiced only by the announcers. Journalists later found out that the reasons for such measures were taken due to the fact that Rustam Emomali did not inherit the oratorical qualities, charisma and populist rhetoric of his father, Emomali Rahman, since he is the son of his brother Nuruddin. Among Tajik journalists and oppositionists, he has a stable nickname, the Great Mute, as few people have heard his voice. He speaks Tajik and Russian tolerably well. Information about his knowledge of English and German is false. In his new position as mayor, with his father's permission, he launched an aggressive campaign against Makhmadsaid Uboydaloyev, the former mayor of Dushanbe and his predecessor. The new mayor dismissed the entire team of Uboydaloyev from key posts of the city administration. Thus, the only political force that sometimes opposed the lawlessness of Rahman's relatives in the capital was isolated. But Rustam Emomali still has a dislike for Ubaydulloyev. Most of the costs of improving the infrastructure in the city of Dushanbe are covered by businessmen, corrupt officials. For individual projects of the city, the amount from the salaries of law enforcement officers was withheld. Rustam Emomali deliberately squeezes out of the construction business all those who were somehow connected with the former mayor Ubaydulloyev. Now the largest developers minus these are his relatives and friends. He seized all the capital's markets, and those that, due to the large number of owners, were impossible or expensive to acquire, are being liquidated. Rustam Emomali established a monopoly on the import of medicines. The medicines imported by its structures do not meet the quality standards. They are low-quality analogues of the original drugs purchased at a reduced cost. However, in Tajikistan, these drugs are sold at monopoly prices several times more expensive. The trusted managers of the drug business of Rustam Emomali are his classmate Khurshid Mirzoyev and his brothers Abdurasul, Zafar and Muhammad. Abdurasul Mirzoyev is a drug lord. There is a known case of the arrest of his cargo in a diplomatic car in Kazakhstan. The Mirzovs are also responsible for the maintenance of 2 modern stables in the vicinity of Dushanbe, owned by Rustam Emomali. Thus, Rustam did not have the opportunity to get a normal education and gain experience in state and political work, since at the same time he studied, worked and led a free criminal and entertainment life. All his achievements in politics and the transformation into the status of the Rahman heir are the unfounded desire of his father Emomali Rahman, who was forced to move him up the career ladder with great speed in the struggle with the female part of his family.